Hi everyone, and welcome to ATP Live Monday. I hope it's been a wonderful week. First day of the week for many of us. Thank you so much for joining me from whichever platform you're watching. I want to thank those of you who are joining us on Instagram. Special welcome to you. And I want to thank those who are joining on Facebook, on YouTube, on any of our pages. You are welcome. I'm supposed to have a moderator with me, but she's stuck in Lagos traffic because I learned there's some challenges with uh, transports in Lagos this week. People on strike. So hopefully my moderator will join me whenever she arrives. All right, but notwithstanding, I will be going flying solo until Fumi is able to join. So welcome everyone. I hope you had a wonderful month, which is ending today. October is our Independence Day outreaches. We've been doing a lot of them. I'm sure you've seen the pictures and videos on our Facebook group and on our global giving reports as well. So thank you to all those who are supporting us and to all the schools who have welcomed us to their uh, schools to share health information and to support our children. So welcome everyone. This is a program brought to you by Ask the Pediatricians Foundation. We're committed to the health of our children. We don't want no child dying from preventable causes. So feel free to drop your questions and on any of the platform you're watching from, on our Facebook group, on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, on our Instagram page. So for the next 1 hour, I'm just going to be taking all the questions that you may have. So, but before we start that, I just want us to share the video. And I'm also going to try and do that. I just share, make sure everybody can see and everybody can hear us. So I'm just going to try and do that for the next 2 minutes. And please also share, invite your friends, tag anyone that needs to be tagged, let them join us now. And then we can start. So for those of you who are already here, feel free to start dropping your question. I can see so many of you already online. Drop your questions and we will start to answer them as soon as I've gotten all the videos pinned and shared myself. So thank you so much for joining me this evening. You're all welcome. You're all welcome. I just want to share the video from our page to other groups so that people can um, they can join us. So I'm just going to share Ask a Pediatrician. I'm always struggling to find my link myself. So let me just share from our Ask a Pediatrician Foundation page. Okay. So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We don't take it for granted, and thank you for all your kind words, appreciation. Many of you do send me messages in my inbox. I see them. I appreciate you for appreciating the work we're doing on ATP. Thank you so much. It's a great source of encouragement to keep doing the work we're doing. All right, so thank you so much for all your commendation, testimonies, and encouragement. We appreciate you. And for those of you who have supported our outreaches financially as well, we want to say thank you so much. And please know that you can always support us. Ask for our account details. I'm sure you will get it on our page, or if you send us a WhatsApp, we will send you the details. And of course, you can advertise your program services on our pages, anything for mothers and children. We try to make sure things are we are a ethical group when it comes to sharing stuff, so we're not going to share something that violates our principles and all that. But anything that is good for children and mothers, you can be sure you can share it on our page. And we have over 700,000 mothers, fathers, and caregiver of children on all our platforms. So anything you share on ACP you can be sure that it's going to be, and all the funds we get goes into supporting indigent children, our community outreaches. So none of them, all our members are volunteers, including all the professionals. So nobody getting a salary. So everything goes into the outreaches. All right. So I think I'm almost done sharing, and I'm going to start taking the questions. I just want to pin the videos in the various groups now so that everybody can can see. Um, just so 30 more seconds and I'll be done. Just pinning it to the pages. And I think for those of you on Facebook and YouTube, you can see all my the details for ATP behind my back. But for those of you on Instagram, I've put in our WhatsApp number. So if you go on that number, all those other details, we can always share them with you. So our WhatsApp number, official number. If you go to our page, our website, you'll get all the details as well. All right, final one. Okay. I'm using my shawl, specially made for me, which I've never been using a lot. So I decided to put it on today. So thank you to Vera and the ATP moderators for this beautiful shawl they gave to me. I like using it. All right. Okay. So let's start with the questions now. I think I'm ready. I've shared all the I've shared all the stuff so people can see the where we are online. So if you have questions, feel free to share them now. I'll start with Instagram today. All right. Somebody saying good to have you again. Thank you, Beauty. All right. I can't see any question yet. Please share your questions. Sorry for all my ranting earlier. I just want to make sure that I shared and everybody can see all the questions and all that. So I think I have 2 questions on Facebook. Instagram members, please share your questions. And the earlier you share them, the earlier we attend to them. We just have an hour on this program. So please share and drop them quickly so that we don't have to run and run when it's time to leave. All right. So the first question I have from our Facebook group say, good evening, dog. We can hear you. Thank you so much for confirming that. Say, where's my baby growing her upper teeth alone? She's 1 year old. All right. I'm not sure I get that question correctly. So are you saying your baby's teeth are only the upper teeth, the upper incisors, and not yet the lower teeth? And then how many of them? So there's nothing wrong with babies bringing out first their upper teeth. I know it's a lot of taboos and lots of beliefs. It's really in African culture where we believe that children will bring out their upper teeth. Actually, for those who are Yoruba people, they believe in what they call elenyoke, like those children have superpowers and whatever they say will come to pass and all that. But that is not actually true. There is nothing wrong. Most children obviously bring out the lower, what we call the lower incisors, which is the lower, those central teeth first. But some children will start with their upper ones, and it is completely normal. So there's really no reason for you to be worried. So, but I'm just trying to clarify whether as the child brought out more teeth on the upper side and none at all on the lower side. So if you give me an idea, like if it's the first set of teeth and they came out from the upper side, that's fine. And of course, more should come, but it shouldn't just be like all the teeth are coming only on the upper side and none at all on the lower side. Especially if the child is now bringing how many more teeth. So then we need to check that. Although the dentist actually wants to see your baby at the age of 1 year anyway. So the fact that your baby is 1 year, you should go see the dentist because they want to do the first dental check for children at the age of 1. So since your child is already 1 year old, please see the dentist for your dental check. It doesn't mean anything has to be wrong for you to see the dentist. The dentist actually wants to see our children from age 1 year, and they want to see them every 6 months just for routine checks. So I'll recommend that you should see the dentist. But there's really nothing to worry about with the upper teeth coming out first and all that, nothing to worry about. All right, let's move on. I can see many of you. Please drop your questions. Drop your questions. Let me see your questions. All right, the next person says, thank you so much, ma'am, for the good work. Thank you so much for your kind words. All right, somebody say, may God bless you. Amen. My son has been having recurring cough for a month. Okay, how old is your son? 1 year, 11 months old. What could be the cause? So cause of recurrent cough for 1 month definitely will worry a pediatrician. So children can have cough. Most of them are just viral cough and they resolve on their own. But if it is going on or on and off for a month, we are going to classify that as becoming chronic and or recurrent, and we need to investigate further, like why is the child having recurrent cough. So there are conditions that can cause that. So, but we need to be sure first. Sometimes for some children, it's as simple as the fact that they are in creches or play groups where other children are coughing. So when your child gets better, the other children are already infected. The child gets infected again, and the cycle goes on and on, especially during the season, like rainy season, when there's a lot of all these germs and respiratory infection viruses they are in the hair. So that if that is this instance, you may just want to break the cycle first by keeping your child at home and let the child recover and then gradually introduce them back. But if that's not the case, then the child is just having recurrent cough and you don't know why, you may need to see a pediatrician. We need to check, is there condition like asthma, because it's one of the common conditions that will make children to have recurrent cough, and usually it's associated with some wheezing as well. So sometimes parents don't hear the wheeze, but they just know that the child coughs, and especially if the child coughs mostly either in the morning time or in the nights, and they cough continuously, and then after a while they seem to get better. So, or they cough more when they are maybe running around, or when they eat a particular food, or when they smell a particular thing, then we'll begin to think of things like asthma. We also have to rule out things like pneumonia, infections, like tuberculosis. So there are many things we have to rule out when the cough has been going on for a month. So the best option is to see a pediatrician, because the pediatrician will ask you several questions and examine the child. And from the questions and the answer you give us and the examination, we can begin to narrow it down, and then we can now advise you on what we think is the most likely cause. We may want to do tests, we may want to do chest x-ray, and that will help us. We have to look for even the heart. Some children with heart problems can also have cough going on for long. So there are many conditions that we have to exclude in that child. So that child definitely is a candidate to see a pediatrician. I hope that's helpful. All right. I think this is important. Choma Okoye. Unfortunately, for those of you on the Facebook group, if you don't give StreamYard the permission to show your name, I won't see your name. So I'm only going to see all of you as Facebook users. So I'm only seeing you as Facebook users. So I won't know who is Facebook user 1 or 2 or 3. So you have to, unless you start by introducing your name, or just give StreamYard permission to share your name, then I can see your name. So all of you on the Facebook group now, I can't see your name, but I know you are there. All right, the next person said, God bless you, Doc. Yeah, good evening. God is really using you, and he's still using you. Yeah, thank you so much. Somebody said, my son is 4 months, sweats a lot, especially during breastfeeding, and I'm really confused in using fan because of pneumonia and cold. Okay, all right, there are so many confusion already, I can say. He also sneezes when I put the fan. That is my worry. God bless ATP. This group has made me a teacher. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so let's start from a child sweating. There's nothing wrong with children sweating. Okay, so for babies, the major work they do is that breastfeeding. It's a work, it's a lot of work to suck, So that's number one. Number two, the breast milk is at the temperature of your core. It's coming from your body. It is already, at the right temperature, which is a little bit hot than, normal. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's not too hot for the baby. It's just the right temperature for the baby, but it's not cold. It's warm. So remember, imagine yourself eating hot food yourself. Usually most time you sweat. So a child who is sucking, breast milk, which is relatively warm or hot, if you want to put it that way, and we is sucking with burning energy, because sucking and breastfeeding is a lot of energy generating process. So definitely the child is going to sweat, and so there's nothing wrong with the child sweating. Just clean the sweat, the child is fine. All right, so that's number one. Number two, fan, using AC. Okay, so for those of you who are first time mothers, I always want to let you know that I have resources for you. First time mom. Let me see whether I can show you the pictures for those of you online. I have a lot of resources for first time mothers. FCM Companion. I encourage you to get it, and also have the what we call the 500 frequently asked questions for first time mothers, because there are lots of myths around being a first time mom, and most time you are confused. So that is why we kind of put those resources together. So, what was I going to say? So, you may want to get a hold of that. If you not want to know how to get it, just reach out to us. We will show you how to get it. So, you can get any of those resources, because there are a lot of myths around baby. So, fan and AC, they do not cause pneumonia. They do not cause pneumonia. They do not cause what's it called, cold or cough or catarrh, whatever. They don't cause them. That is misinformation. All right. So children, when they have cough or catarrh or pneumonia, is due to viruses. They are due to germs that enter into their airway. It is not because they were exposed to fan. It's not because they're exposed to AC at all. No, those are not the causes of that. So because of that, a lot of mothers don't um expose their children um to what they call it now. They don't expose their children to fan and all that. So the children begin to generate a lot of heat, and then the children begin to have heat rashes. And you enter some nursing mother's room or new mom's room, it is like you're entering an oven. It's like very hot, humid, you know. So please, that is not right. Open your windows, please, let the air, fresh air come in. We don't want you to station the fan on the baby, like the fan is directly on top of the baby and blowing on the baby. But the essence of, for those of you who are using fan, the essence of the fan is to circulate the air. The fan itself is not generating anything, it's just circulating the air in your room. And so that's why you need to open your windows. So whenever you are using the fan, there must be ventilation. So fresh air must come in, old air must go out. That is what the fan does. It circulates the air. So, and if you have AC, feel free to use it. All it matters is just the regulation. So if you set it to something like about 25 degrees, which is okay, that will be fine for your baby. So those hair, or they do not cause any infection in your baby. So your baby will sneeze if you put the fan directly on the baby, and really if your fan or AC is also full of dust. So again, you have to clean it up so that when it is blowing, it's not generating dust that is coming to the child's nose and is causing irritation. That's why there are some AC, they always actually have those filter. They have filter for bacteria, for dust and stuff like that. So you may want to use those ones, or just clean off. Make sure you remove the fence and clean it. Make sure it's clean, so that when hair are going out, then other things are not coming in. So those are the things you need to do. So otherwise, it is not the fan making your baby to cough and all that. No, you can use fan, you can use AC, and they don't cause any form of pneumonia. Those are what we call myths. And one of the things I did in that book for first time mom, including the questions, the 500 questions, is to address all these myths and myths and myths that has to do with the health of our children. So you need to get rid of those myths. I know you are surrounded by the myth generators and exporters, the grandparents especially. You just need to get your mind away from it. And I'm happy you're on ATP, so you can definitely learn a lot from that. Okay, so the next question say my baby is 5 weeks already. She has not regained her birth weight. Okay, I didn't check her weight recently, but she's looking really small. When I gave birth to her, we went to see a doctor. She says normal. So if your baby is 5 weeks old, so usually when babies are born, they are what we call birth weights. So you have to tell me that first, which you have left out. We need to know the birth weight of the baby, and we need to know the current weight of the baby. So the birth weight of the baby babies sometimes lose some weight in the first 10 days of life. That's because there's so much, water, dehydration, so many things going on. So babies generally lose weight. They are still learning to suck, get established on breastfeeding and all that. So it is fine. But usually by the age of 2 weeks, we expect them to have regained their birth weight. So by 2 weeks, they should have regained their birth weight. So, and then from there on, they should be gaining, if it's a term baby, they should gain about 30 grams every week. No, sorry, every day. So, and if it's a preterm baby, they should gain about 20 grams every day. But of course, we don't expect you to be weighing baby every day. So that is for us. When baby's in the hospital, we weigh them every day. But your baby at home, we expect you to weigh them every month whenever you come for your immunization. So your baby is going to be 6 weeks, so it's going for immunization next week. So when you go for your immunization next week, let them weigh the baby, and then you can join us and tell us the weight of the baby at 6 weeks. Then we can advise you. Then the next and most important information, which you also have not told us, is how are you feeding this baby? Because when you're telling us about the weight of a baby, you need to tell me how you're feeding the baby. You need to tell me the birth weight. You need to tell me the current weight. You have to tell us specific information. We don't walk by the baby is looking small. The baby, those are what we call subjective things. Baby can look small to you. So it depends on whether the weight, baby could be have been small from birth. We don't know. So we need to have all those information. So if you know those information, you're still listening to me, feel free to add it now and I will address them. But if you are not able to do that, when you go for your 6 weeks immunization, let them weigh your baby and then you can let us know. But meanwhile, please breastfeed your baby exclusively, exclusive breastfeeding on demand. So what means I just keep breastfeeding as much as the baby wants it. Don't panic, don't worry. The more you breastfeed, the more your milk will flow and your baby will gain weight. Unless there's something physically wrong with the baby, like baby has health issues. If there are health issues, then that is where you need to see a pediatrician. I guess you've seen a doctor, and the doctor obviously does not seem to be worried about your baby. But I don't know whether you saw a doctor like a pediatrician or just any doctor. So usually for babies, very, very first month, 2 months of life, it's better you see a pediatrician because they are very tiny babies and we need to monitor them closely. So it is not everybody that can handle such babies. So you may want to see a pediatrician. Okay, Instagram people, you guys don't have any questions today. So we'll continue with the Facebook people. All right. So I think I jumped that question before, which is why I went back to address it. All right. So let me go back. Where did I stop? Yeah, I think I know where I stop now. So somebody said, good evening, ma'am. My daughter has malaria and her pediatrician prescribed whatever tablets for her. She's 1 month old. Can she start taking tablet drugs? Okay, so let me just start by saying that whenever your pediatrician prescribe any medication for you, please don't leave until you've asked all your questions. So your doctor has prescribed medication for you. You could have asked that question before you left. So babies can take tablet drug. Usually the kind of anti-malaria we prescribe for that age group should be dispersible. In other words, the tablets, when you put it into water, it will melt, it will disperse, and then you can now give the baby with the water. So you could do that. And if you still want to clarify, you can always, even if you get home and you now later remember your question, that I should have asked the doctor, then you can call the hospital. You can always call them or go back and ask the questions. I'm sure they'll be very happy to answer. This is just a generic answer so that in future you just know that. So usually we can give babies tablets, but usually when we want to give them tablet, we have to grind it or break it or give the type that is dispersible into water, and then we give it. And if you read the instruction on the tablet, on the leaflets of that medication, they will tell you how to do that if it's medication for children. So make sure you read the leaflet first as well. It's always tell you, because it will tell you how much of water you need to put one tablet inside. So sometimes it will be 5 minutes, sometimes it could be 10 ml. So you have to follow all the instructions. All those instructions will be on the pack or the leaflets that comes with that medication. So that's that. I hope you are clear. All right. Thank you so much. Okay, he attends crash. Okay, that's the person asking about recurrent cough. So if your child is having recurrent cough and going to crash, I think you may just want to keep the child at home for a while, just to break the cycle. Ideally, crash owners should be very strict. In other words, when children are sick, they have cough, they have diarrhea, vomiting, they should not allow them into the crash. They shouldn't, because they kind of infect other children. But I know it's the parents also who put pressure, because parents want to go to work and like, just cough now, let us stay. At the end of the day, all the children are going to get the same infection. So ideally, they shouldn't have allowed sick children in the crash. Else it will keep on going and coming. Next question. Say good evening, doc. Please, our day center where we go for a 6 weeks immunization. Is tongue is tied down that we need to cut it. Okay. Hope there's no side effects. Please don't cut any tongue tie. Most of the so-called tongue tie, there is no tongue tie. All right. Most tongue tie or so-called tongue tie, there's actually what we call frenulum, which is like this thin membrane that connects the tongue to the jaw, to the lower part of the mouth. Okay, so it is a normal thing and all that. So there's really no need to be cutting any tongue tie. Just leave it alone. All right. So sometimes people just look at it and say, "Oh, that means the child has tongue tie." It doesn't mean anything. If your child is crying, your child is doing everything, just leave it alone. I've run an article on what I call much ado about tongue tie, because a lot of mothers, I even have mothers that told me they've caught tongue tie like 3 times, 7. I'm serious and I'm not exaggerating. The challenge is that even in the process of doing what they call so-called tongue tie, they can cause, because when you cause a lot of what we call fibrosis. In other words, during the process of healing, there's scar tissue. Let me use that is a layman word. So there's scarring of that area, and you now cause a tongue tie that was not even there before. Because when there's scarring, it will now kind of gum the tongue down to the jaw. So which is actually now you causing it, what we call iatrogenic. If you go on our Facebook group, you just go through the topic tongue tie, because people do post their pictures there, you will see what I'm talking about. So please do not cut any tongue tie. Just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. All right. Tongue tie does not make a child not to talk. It doesn't affect them in any way. People always, it's because the child has tongue tie, the child is not going to talk. It's a lie. Children's not talking has nothing to do with tongue tie. So there are only very few instances where a child tongue tie actually needs operation, and usually those are the what we call the muscular type of it, that it is really thick, and you will even see that the tongue is not lifting up at all. Is usually that kind of a diagnosis should be made by a doctor and all that. But everybody going to the hospital, everybody is there, there's tongue tie, they're always cutting. Most private hospitals, apologies to private hospitals who don't do that, but I found that private hospital health centers, they always like to tell mothers and parents that they want to cut tongue tie. It's a very cool way of making some money of you, and for something that doesn't really need to be done. So just leave your baby's tongue alone. All right, just leave it alone. There's really no need to do any cutting of tongue tie. All right, unless you see a doctor, like I said, and there's a muscular type. If you go to read that article on our website at askpediatricians.com, you will see the description of the serious kind of tongue tie that actually needs to be cut. But most of the children I see, people are always worried about tongue tie. It is just the normal frenulum that people are referring to as tongue tie, which does not require any cutting. All right, let's just move on. We still don't have any question on Instagram, so I'll just continue with Facebook. Someone say, good day, ma. Glad to have you here. My baby of 4 months has rashes on his tummy. I tried applying powder, but it didn't go. Number one, don't treat what you don't know. I see mothers do that a lot. I see it a lot on our Facebook group. People just say, my baby has rashes. You don't know what the rash is. You don't know what caused the rash, but you just go and apply treatments. At the end of the day, you may actually make it worse. So if you don't know it, leave it alone first. That's the best thing to do. So in medicine, we say, first of all, do no harm. If you don't know what it is, then don't do anything. because what you're doing may make it worse. So, and some people also believe like you must apply it. But when they say it's a rash, then they apply hydroxyl cream or tributan, and they have so much faith that those products, once you apply those one, all rashes should disappear. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but those two products are not cure for all rashes. They are not even necessary for most rashes. Okay, there is no one medication or powder that is like a sorbitol for rashes. In other words, once you put it, because mothers will now be asking me like, I've applied this thing and it didn't go. I like as if why didn't it go with those products? As if those products should have, and I'm always like surprised on the other hand, like why should it go with those products? Because what if it's not something that those products are meant to address? So the first thing when it comes to the way the principles of medicine is that you must know what is causing something. So some rashes, there's nothing you need to do about it. They are going to go on their own. Some rashes, for example, are due to, let's say, allergies, that your child is reacting to something. The solution is not to apply powder or anything. The solution is to remove whatever is triggering the rash. So maybe the child is reacting to the cream or the soap or the sponge or whatever you're using, even the water. Then you just stop it, and then that's the end of the rash. So, for example, each rashes, your child is too hot, too humid, you are overdressing them. You reduce the layers, keep the child cool. The rashes will go. They don't need any special treatment. So you must always know the rash. If the rash is caused by an infection, a skin rash due to infection. The infection could be bacteria, could be fungal, could be viral. So you need to know what it is. So the cream for a fungal infection will not treat a rash that is due to a bacterial infection, for example. And we pediatricians, we don't like those your triple action cream. So it is a product used by people who don't know what they're doing. In other words, whether it's fungal, whether it's bacteria, whether it's they just use everything. No, it's not right. Because if a child has a fungal infection, a bacterial infection, and you put a cream that has steroid on those kind of a rash, you're going to worsen the rash. It's going to get worse. That's why some of you will notice that when you use a particular product, it actually gets worse. So you have to general principle, if a child has a rash, don't apply anything until you know what it is. And then that is what will now determine whether it needs treatment or not. Some don't need treatment, or what kind of treatment we need to give. So that's just general principle. So because we cannot see the rash, thank God you're on our Facebook group. You can post your picture on the Facebook group. And please post a clear picture. Some of you will post picture that's so blurry, and I'm like, what are you expecting us to see? Or you please don't cover it with powder when you're posting picture. I'm not going to see the rash under the powder or under the cream. It's a useless picture at that point. So post the clear picture of the rash, that we can advise you, oh, is it rash, or is a reaction rash, or is fungal rash, is bacterial rash. Sometimes we're not sure and we need to ask you more questions, and then that's the only way we can advise you. So we can ask, and please always include information like where's the rash? Is it only on the tummy, or is it all over the body, or is it only a particular part of the body? How long has it been there? Oh, does he itch? Those kind of information. The more information you provide, the doctors begin to narrow it down. Or if it is itching, then okay, maybe it's an allergic thing. Allergic rashes tend to itch compared to other form of rashes. If it is bringing out like pus, like there's water, like yellow stuff inside, oh, that sounds like a septic spot. That sounds like a bacterial infection. That's how doctors make up their diagnosis. So it's based on those little information from the story you tell us and from our examination of the child. So sometimes when people post questions and we say we can't tell you what the rash is because I need to ask you like another 100 questions to be able to know which one it is, because some rashes may look alike but they may not be the same. And so that is what I always say. So from this question, it said the rash is only on the stomach. If the rash is only in a particular part of the body, then the question we will be asking is, what is it about that part of the body that does not go to other parts of the body? You understand? So, for example, if a rash is only on the covered part of the body, no, not like on the exposed part of the body, like only on the hands and the legs, then we begin to wonder, does it have to do with sunlight? Does it have to do with exposure? Is there something you are rubbing on the tummy that you don't rub anywhere that will make the child to have rashes only on the tummy? Is it the nappy? Is it the band of the diaper? Something that is only on the tummy. So that is how we begin to narrow it down. So, for example, the fact that these rashes are only on the tummy already excluded some rashes for me, because it tells me it has something to do with the soap, it has something to do with the water, maybe it has something to do with the cream, because you're applying the cream all over the body. So if you're applying it all over the body, then and the other parts are not affected, then it's not likely that. So that already excludes a lot of things. So you have to start thinking, what is it that I put only on the tummy that I don't put anywhere else? That may be a clue to what is making a child to have. Or is it the way you cover? Are you applying like something around the tummy that you don't apply anywhere else? So you have to think about that. And the most important thing with those kind of rashes are, once you know what it is that is causing it, all you need to do is to stop it, and that is the end of the rashes. So I hope it's clear for you. All right, let's move on. Alufoge. Okay, I think I'll just take a pause. Sorry for that pause. All right, I'm back now. Let me just go. So the next question is from Alufoge Rashidat Kainde from our Facebook page, I think. Good evening, Doc. My baby 1 year doesn't eat well, and this will be giving me headache. She only takes 2 to 4 spoons of food. She won't take anything again to the next day, except water. Could it be the result of multivitamins I'm giving her? No, it is not multivitamins. What step can I take? The question is, what food is your child taking? How are you feeding the baby? There are many more questions to be asked. So this kind of issues, then we need to know the weight of the baby. Okay, you've been to the hospital several times. Pediatrician have told you she will change, but that kept me worried. I've read the complimentary fee, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you know all the answers you need to have. You've seen a pediatrician, you've read our Facebook group. So what you need to do is, sometimes you are looking for like a fix. You want a magical fix. There is none. I can just tell you that for free. There is no magical fix. So you just need to make sure that you do the right thing by making sure that you keep trying new things, you keep applying lots of patience, and that's eventually your child will eat. But your child cannot be taking only 2 to 4 spoons of food for the whole day. So while you, for such children that are fussy eaters or picky eaters, as we call them, you need to offer them food more frequently. So if she's only going to take 4 spoons at a time, then another time you offer another 4 spoons, another time maybe another 1 hour or 2 hours you offer more. Then what are the food that the child likes? You may offer more of that, and then you keep on building on it. You must be patient. You can't be looking for like a drug, like giving multivitamin. Multivitamin is not the solution to a fussy eater or a picky eater. It's not. It doesn't make them. It's not a magical fix that you're looking for, and there is none, to be honest. So you just have to be patient, and you have to keep giving them. So that kind of a child should not have been. You should keep breastfeeding as well. You shouldn't have stopped breastfeeding until your child is fully established on complementary feeding. And I'm sure if you've gone through all our complementary feeding videos and tips, there are lots of tips on our Facebook page, on our Instagram page. I'm sure you've seen all of them. So I'm not going to go through all that again. So I'm sure you must have come across them. You just have to keep doing it and doing it patiently until you get to that place. So that is about that as well. All right. I think I still don't have any question on Instagram. Instagram people, today is no question day. That's fine. Just keep enjoying and listening. All right, so the next question is by Young Queen Ogbonia. I'm trying to potty train my son. He's been hectic. Now he knows he wants to poo by grunting and holding his bum and does poo in his potty, but see urinates in his diaper. Okay. Look, am I doing something wrong? You're not doing something wrong. You're doing it right. So does it tell you it wants to pull? Does it tell you it wants to wee? That's the question first, because you are not telling us that. Okay, sorry, am I doing? It won't say it wants to pull, but it will talk about any other thing else. So that is the issue we need to address first. So one of the ways you know a child is ready to be potty trained, number one, they're able to communicate. They're able to tell you their needs. They don't have to definitely say like a lot of words, even if it's just a word like poo poo or potty, they must have one word and they must be able to come to you when they want to poo. So if your child is only grunting, you are the one picking up the sign, like you're picking up the sign that this child wants to use a potty, but the child has to be able to communicate it to you. Two, they must be able to pull down their pants, they must be able to pull down their diapers. Two, three, they must be able to sit, they must be able to locate the potty and sit on it. So, and then do their business inside. So you must have all those signs. If the child has not yet developed those signs, then the child is not yet ready for potty training. And I know you are ready to potty train a child, but sometimes the child has to be ready too. So if your child is not ready, you can't force them. Okay. And some children are ready at 2, some children may not be ready until they are 3. So, of course, you keep on trying. You can buy books about potty training. You can play videos, a lot of cartoon showing other children sitting on the potty. If there are a lot of websites online that are very lovely, there's what we call Eric.org, I think .uk is a very good website for potty training and bedwetting and stuff like that. You can just check online. There are a lot of them. Just check Bladder and Bowell's kind of websites, and they will teach you all these steps. And I think we have also one on our website as well. But the key thing is that your child has to be ready. So if your child is not yet telling you about going to use the potty, the child is not coming to you and trying to tell you that they want to use the potty or going for the potty themselves, they are not yet ready. They are not. So you can't force them. But you can start giving them the idea by showing them other children when they want to pull, they sit on the potty. You can show them videos of child doing it. When the child is doing, make it a pleasant experience. You can go with them and until they are comfortable and until the child can associate the potty with when he feels that he needs to be potty, you want to use a potty, because that's the only way they'll be potty trained. If you are only always the one taking them to the potty just because you suspect it, then the child is not yet potty trained, because when the child goes to the nursery or other places, then the child is not going to ask for potty and the child is still going to poo on himself or wee on himself. So there's nothing wrong. The child is just 2 years old. It's normal. All of us are ready at different times. Surely we give them up to the age of 3 to be fully, at least by then we expect most children to have been ready and be fully potty trained. So go through those websites again and start, using some of those tips just to help your child to associate, make the association, and then begin to talk. So, for example, when your child sits on the potty, you give him the word potty, potty, poo poo or wee. You have to give them the word, and then the child must be able to use the word. Then that's when the child is ready to use the potty. But don't be patient. Don't be in a hurry. I know everybody wants everything done quick, but children are not the same. Some children are ready early. Some children 1 year they're already done. Some children 2. Some children may up to 3. So just be patient with the child, but keep on trying. Then for example, for your child, when the child has done it, you can still make them to go and sit on the potty even after you've opened the nappies, because you want them to associate, doing the pee or the wee or the poo or the wee with sitting on the potty. So after a while, they begin to understand that. So those are the little steps that you can do. But don't be too hard on yourself. Just be patient, because the child has to be ready first before you can potty train a child who is not ready. There's nothing you can do. It's not your fault. So no need to feel so hard on yourself. Okay, I think I have a question on Instagram finally. All right, let's access the Instagram, then we'll come back to Facebook. Um, Okay, so Raymart Fashion Empire said, good evening. Thank you for the good work you're doing here. Please, this is the first time I'm joining this live video. Oh, really? Thank you. Should I ring you a bell? I don't have a bell. How do I send my question here? So, just drop your question the same way you commented. Just drop your question as a comment, or if you click on that question icon, that's box with or is it a circle with a question mark in the inside. You can drop your question there as well. So if you click on it, you can drop your question, or you can just write it as a comment the same way you just did now, and then I'll be able to read it. Thank you so much for joining us. We are very, very glad to have you here. All right, let's move on. Florence Josephina Haleo, good evening, ma'am. My baby is 8 months old, has been revisiting all kind of solids, both store-bought, homemade. We are on EBF. My question is, can he attain a growth by being only on breast milk? Of course, the answer is no. Breast milk is not enough from the age of 6 months. Your child has to eat other food. So you have to give complementary food, but you need to understand when you're introducing complementary food is a gradual process. So you keep on breastfeeding the way you're doing, but you need to now be giving other food. But don't attempt to give other food as if you are replacing breast milk and you want to give a lot. Because sometimes when parents say, oh, my child is not eating at all, it's because you are expecting the child to finish maybe a whole bowl, and maybe the child only take 1 or 2 spoons. Then you think, oh, that child is not eating. The child that is eating. So you may fall for the day one may just be 1 spoon, then you go on to 3 spoons before you go on to 5 spoons. You have to do it gradually, and then you have to try variety as well. So, for example, when you're starting, start with something like eat something smooth like your rice, or your maize, something like smooth texture cereals before you go on to something hard and all that. Don't start with yam or rice, the normal rice like you will eat. Of course, you can match it, and you have to be conscious of the texture. It has to be soft texture. You have to be porridge like before you move on to more, a quasar texture and all that. Then you have to start with small quantities. Usually twice a day is enough at age of 6 months. Then before you go on to like 3 times a day and all that. And the quantity initially is just like half a cup before you go on to a 3 quarter, before you go on to full cup by the age of 1 to 2 years. So there's a process to it, there's gradual process, but you have to be patient and follow that protocol. Don't just think you're just going to bring something new and go full force feeding. It's not going to happen that way. So I don't know whether if you go to our Facebook group, you go to our guide session, we have a lot of videos in the guide too, videos on complementary feeding that actually tells you all these things, what food to give, how often to give it, what not to give as well, and all that. So I always recommend you watch them and follow those principles, and you'll be fine. But obviously, you already know the answer that breast milk is not enough. If it's going to be enough, we wouldn't have asked you to introduce complementary feeding at 6 months, and your baby may be at risk of malnutrition if you're only giving breast milk at 8 months, because from 6 months, breast milk is insufficient. So you need to add other food so that we can get enough calories to meet their growth and developmental needs. So I hope that's helpful. Okay, so you showed us your baby is weight is 10.5. Wow, the weight is good. That is the weight of a 1 year old anyway. So your baby is obviously getting a lot of calories from your breast milk, but it's not enough, and we don't want it to start dropping. And you don't want to do breastfeeding. Okay, so when your child is now 1 year or 2 years, you're not going to be following the child to school to breastfeed. The child has to eat other food. So, and those are the challenges for mothers that don't introduce complementary feeding on time. That when they are ready, when they want the child to start, the child is not going to just change suddenly. So the earlier you start it, the better. And no bottle feeding of complementary feeding. Please use cup and spoon. Make sure it's the right texture. Some people make it too watery and put it into bottle. No bottle feeding, no watery pap and all that. Take porridge or mash food, soft texture. Start with a cup and spoon right from 6 months, and then keep on breastfeeding as well. And then you gradually add other food. Your baby can eat all the food you eat in the house. It's only about the texture. It's not going to be the hard, like real solid until they're about 1 or 2 years old. In the beginning, 6 months, 8 months, it should be soft, smooth texture like porridge or purees and things like that. All right, I hope that's helpful. Uh, so another question, I'll just take Instagram. I'll go Instagram, Facebook, Instagram, Facebook. Um, Somebody say, me Esther. Good evening, Ma. What age can a child start school? Okay, so it depends on what you mean by school, okay? Because people use the word school, I would say loosely. So for us as pediatricians, all children below the age of 5, below the age of 6, actually are preschoolers. So for us, school really starts when they start primary school. That is school. That is age of 6 in Nigeria. That is age of 6. So I know some people start earlier, maybe by 5 and all that, but that is real school. All every other thing you do before the proper primary school education, or what people call elementary education or basic education, it's preschool to the pediatrician. So all those nursery, all those play group, all those things are preschool. They are not school. So that is our own definition of school. But I know parents, some parents even say their 6 months old is in school. That is crash. The child is just in a crash. So you have to be specific to me. But so your 1 year old, from as far as I'm concerned, 18 months old is still a play group, crash play groups setting. Most really by the time they're about 2, 3, they can be in nursery, and so they can be in nursery. But when they start primary one, basic education class one, that is school for the pediatrician. So they can be in any setting before that time, whether it's crèche, whether it's preschool. As much as possible, we actually prefer the children stay at home with you till like they're about 2 or 3 before they go in anywhere. We want them to bond more with you. There are a lot of children learn from their parents, from being with you, from learning from learning language, from being able to, before they need to go to any school. And please, nobody should start asking me about whether a 2 year old should be counting 1 to 100 or writing eight. Nobody's interested in that at that age, okay? All we want them to do in that age group is for them to talk and to play. That is all we want them to do. Let them learn to play with other children. Let them learn to talk. Let them learn to eat by themselves. Let them be potty trained. Those are the things we want at that age. So, but from 5, when they're in, or 6, when they're in full education, that is when all the writing and all the other stuff, doing maths and doing all those things, that is when he begins to count. So no pressure at all. So it's up to you really. If you want your child to go to preschool, it's fine. If you want your child to stay at home, it's fine. But real school, 5 to 6 years old, that's when it really starts. Um, and you are the primary teacher for the first 5 years. Mother, you are the teacher of the child, not the school. All right. I think I saw another question on Instagram. Yeah. So, Tito, sorry, Tito girl. Good evening, doctor. This is my first time on live. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. Maybe of 11 weeks I've coughed. He has been coughing for a few days now. Difficulty in breathing. Oh, no difficulty in breathing. Okay, sorry. I just cough and cough more at night. So usually for babies at that age, most of their cough are due to viral infections. That is infections caused by viruses. Let me put it that way. And they usually resolve by themselves. They don't need any medication. So there's no need for you to, if the child is not having fever, the child is not having difficulty in breathing, I would just say keep the child at home. But more importantly, keep the child away from people that are coughing, people that have colds. They are the one infecting the child. It could even be you, the mom. If anybody is coughing or having colds, let them stay away. If you as a mom has it because you have to breastfeed, you have to use your mask, so that you don't keep coughing or sneezing on the baby. And make sure your room is well ventilated. Don't take baby to the kitchen when you are cooking and frying. No smoking around the baby. No spraying perfume or insecticide sprays and all. Those are the things that irritate the baby, that make them to cough. So if it's only coughing at night, what do you do at night? Are you spraying your room? Are you using mosquito coils? So you have to think about it. So what is it that I'm doing that is irritating this baby? Or is it your generator? Some of you, your generator fumes are close to your bedroom. So you have to deal with all those things. Otherwise, just breastfeed your baby and the baby will be fine. But if you child start having fever or difficulty with breathing or fast breathing, then we worry about pneumonia. And that is when you have to take the child to the hospital. So that is what you need to do, and your baby will fine. So whatever you are doing at night, just stop it. So you don't need to offer him anything. Please don't give him any cough syrup. Don't give any medication. Just breastfeed and deal with whatever it is you're doing at night that is irritating the baby. There's something that you're doing. Just think about it. You will find it. You'll figure it out later. All right. Another question from Instagram. Raymat's fashion. My baby is 4 months old. Pulse comes out anytime he sneezes. That is normal. There's nothing wrong with that. And she pulls frequently. How many times? So a baby can pull up to 12 times a day. That is normal. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as it's normal pull, we're not worried about that. So yeah. So baby can pull immediately after feeding. Yes, that is perfectly normal. We call it gastrocolic reflex. So when your baby starts sucking, the movements, or what we call peristaltic waves, is kind of moved down, and it stimulates the storehouse of the poo, which is the rectum, and so you feel the urge to poo. It happens to adults as well, but you as an adult, you can control yourself. You can withhold it and just hold on until you are ready to go. But it's normal. It's just a normal reflex. It doesn't mean anything is wrong with the baby, so you don't have to do that. And recently, I noticed she doesn't eat like before. Usually, when children are born, they are still learning to suck, so they tend to suck more frequently because they are not very efficient. But by the time they are getting to 3, 4 months, they are becoming more efficient, and you will notice that they take less time to empty the breast, so they are more effective suckers, if you like. So it doesn't mean they are not eating as much. It just means that they are doing it in less time because they are more effective, they are more efficient. So it doesn't need to worry. So what matters to us is the weight of your baby. Raymat, check the weight of your baby. Your baby is gaining weight. Your baby is getting enough breast milk. So there's no need for you to worry. Everything you've written up is perfectly normal. There's nothing wrong. You don't need to worry at all about it. I didn't see the end of your question because I think we're going on and on. She's on whatever. I'm not sure what she's on, but I will recommend exclusive breastfeeding, and that's all. But there's nothing wrong with all the information you shared about the stool. They are perfectly normal. When we worry about stool, about texture of stool, like if it is watery or if it is hard. Those are the only things that worries us. It's not how many times. So it is only if that is passing watery stool, like watery for a baby at that age would be like urine, kind of like they still look like as if it is urine, like completely soaked into the diaper. And the child is doing it 3 or more times in a 24-hour period. That is diarrhea. But if the child is passing normal stool, whether the baby passes 12 times or 100 times, it doesn't really matter. Most of them will pass it actually up to 12 times a day, and they can pass with every feed, which is exactly what you were describing. With each feeding, they can pass too, and that is why it can actually be up to 12 times, because most babies will suck every 2 to 3 hours. So that is why it is 8 to 12 times a day. That's actually how we arrive at that figure. So it is perfectly normal. So there's no reason for you to worry about it. Let's move on. I'll go back to Facebook now. Thank you, Instagram. Thank you for asking all your questions. Why did I stop? Okay, I've answered the question on tongue tie. I've answered the question on, okay, I think I've answered this question. I lost my bearing a bit for Facebook when I went to Instagram. Okay, I think this is where I stopped about Florence question. So the next question is, my baby 5 weeks old has redness of her bum and private area. They said, what are the day? People always asking the day. What are the day? The day people have names. So there's nothing like Jedi, okay? What people call Jedi has meaning to different people. I've done this research on it on our Facebook group, and at the end of the day, I got 20 different interpretations. So when people said when the people use the word Jedi, I got 20 different meanings for what they actually meant when you put it into English or medical jargon. So some people it is a watery stool, some people it is a bloody stool, some people it's back pain, some people it's rashes, some people it's cough. Oh my goodness. So I don't want people don't use native or local diagnosis when you're asking questions. Just describe it, which is the best thing to do, so we know exactly and we can translate it to English. So if your baby is having redness in the private area, that is a rash. We will call it skin rash. And for that area, the question is, what kind of rashes will give you redness? It tends to be fungal infection. So that is what is causing that. So you need to see a doctor. You need to apply something. You need to definitely get treatment for it. So that child will need treatment with antifungal medication. So, but more importantly is, how do we prevent it? Okay. You need to change the diaper frequently. You need to, when you, some children actually react to some of these wipes and all that. So if you're going to buy wipes, make sure you buy wipes that are what we call hypoallergenic. Like it doesn't have too much of these perfumes and stuff that can irritate your baby's skin, because when the skin is irritated, then it is easier for the germs to penetrate the skin. The skin is actually a protective layer. So but in the diaper area, there's a lot of poo, there's a lot of weed, there are a lot of things that can irritate that area. So you want to avoid it as much as possible. That is why you don't say, because I've applied pseudo cream as my diaper cream, you will not leave the poo long. The idea is that those pseudo cream or those diaper cream or Vaseline or whatever you apply, it creates a barrier between the poo or the baby's body. Okay, but if you leave it for too long, the barrier will be broken and it will irritate the skin of the child, and that's why nappy rashes are common. So nappy rashes most time is because we are not changing diaper frequently, or we are not applying diaper cream that will create a barrier. No powder. Some parents will apply powder cream and apply powder. You are just creating a chemical reaction that will irritate the skin of the child. So if you are not sure which wipe, just use water. That's the best thing to use to, when your baby has poo or wee. And you don't change the diaper only when it is soiled. You also change it when it is wet, because that's some things I know. I mean, cost of living is high and we're living. So people think we are trying to make sure that we don't, we don't have to spend so much on diaper. Unfortunately, the children, they didn't ask us to be born, so you have to just spend this money on them. So you have to change your diaper frequently, not only when it is soiled, when it is wet. All this one we wait for diaper, it is like almost falling out, is wrong. We are joking with diaper rashes like the one you're describing now. So change the diaper frequently. Sometimes you have to do it up to 8 times a day, not only when there's a poo, when it is wet. Also make sure you wash the diaper area with each change of diaper. You wash your hands as well, because your hand is also a very good source of germs into the diaper area. Wash your hands with soap and water. Wash the baby's bum with soap and water as well, or use your wipe that is hypoallergenic wipe, and then dry and apply diaper cream. You can use Vaseline, you can use pseudo cream, diaper cream, not powder. No powder in the diaper area, and then use the diaper. Make sure diaper also has like cotton-like feel to it, because some diaper have rubber and some children actually react to rubber, but that tends to be around the navel area where the diaper where you tend to hold it hook it together. That's where you tend to have those kind of rash. But the one in the real area of the nappy is actually there's irritation or it's an infection. The reason why I already know this one is an infection is because of the redness. Once it is really, really red, it tends to be more of a fungal infection, what we call candida, rather than just the normal diaper rash. That one tends to be like, small bumps all over the place. So you need to, but once there's an infection already, we need to treat that. And there's sometimes when you're at home and there's no pressure, you can just take off the diaper, let some breeze just blow around that area. Not every time the baby is always in nappy 24/7. It also can, irritate the diaper area. So sometimes they just need some fresh air to go around the area. So that is how to avoid this scenario. Okay, I think our time is up. I will just quickly answer the remaining questions. Fumidi couldn't join me today. I think she must be stuck in Lagos traffic. Somebody say my baby has Ela. Okay, so we've gone from Jadi to Ela now. Okay, on her head. So Ela is for those who are not Yoruba speaking. It's a common word by the Yoruba speaking people from Nigeria to describe rashes. So again, just like jedi jedi, there is no single rash that fulfills that is ela. So ela is used to describe many rashes. So when people say ela, it could be fungal rash, it could be bacteria, it could be so many things. So we prefer to see the rash, and then we will let you know which one it is. But the ela doesn't really tell us anything because there are different things that people will call ela. So I think and usually when a child already has a rash, like I said earlier, for those who joined me at the beginning, don't just apply anything. We need to know what the rash is, and that's why we determine the treatment. So for this person, we need to post a picture of the rash, then we can tell you whether it's a fungal infection or whether it's even cradle cap, because your baby is 3 months and the rash is on the head. So it could be cradle cap, it could be something else. So when we see it, then we'll tell you what it is. Shea butter, pseudo cream, all those products are not treatments. They help prevent some rashes. So like pseudo cream is good for the diaper area. Shea butter is an hypoallergenic, it's a natural product, it's good for the skin generally. But once your child already has rashes, they are not going to kill the rash. They are not going to, they are not treatment, they are not antifungal, they are not antibacterial, they are not anti inflammatory products. So once a child already has infection, we need to move on to the next level, which is where a doctor steps in and prescribe treatment. So I'm trying to say that because many parents always rely on these products as their treatment. They are not. So don't be surprised if you seem as if they are not working, because they are actually not meant to do that work that you're expecting them to do. So post the picture, and then we can give you proper advice on what kind of a rash it is. And usually we'll advise you to see your doctor, who will prescribe appropriate treatment. So the Ogunleye Oluwatoyin say, my baby is 15 months old, does not hit. Oh, I have so many questions I don't hit today. I think we've answered the question. It takes custard, 1, 2, 3. What can I do? You have to offer more variety, you have to be patient, and you have to keep at it. There's no magical one that I'm going to prescribe, and there's no drug for that. Recently it sweats a lot in the night and runs temperature too. So if your child is running temperature, please grab a digital thermometer. All mothers must have digital thermometer. Basic minimum, you must have a thermometer at home. So if your child is running temperature, grab your thermometer, the digital one, not the nurse type, or the digital one, the one that can read numbers, that can write numbers for you. Put it in the armpit or in the mouth. Wait for it to beep and read it. If it is over 37.5, the figure is over 37.5, maybe it's 38, 39, that is fever. You have to give paracetamol, or you can remove the child's clothes, you can give a bath. There are things you can do to reduce the temperature. And also to reduce the temperature, you can keep monitoring it with your thermometer. If it is down, that's fine. If it is still coming up again, you can give your paracetamol every 6 hours, at least for up to 24 hours. So if the child keeps on having the fever for more than 1 day, then you have to go to the hospital. So for us to know what is causing a fever can be caused by malaria, it could be caused by infections, and infection can affect practically any part of the body: ear infection, eye infection, throat infection, urinary tract infection. We have to know which infection it is. Doctors will examine the child, they will know where it's coming from, and then they can prescribe appropriate antibiotics or anti-malaria or whatever cause of the infection is. So teething does not cause fever. Please stop blaming teething for a child who is sick. The reason why I'm saying is that most of the reason why our children come to us late in the hospitals is because mothers are seeing children that are sick for days, and they don't come to the hospital because they are assuming it's teething. And then when you come to the pediatrician, you expect the pediatrician to do some magic, which we can't. We are not, we don't have those superpowers. So please come to the hospital on time. First aid for fever, paracetamol. More than 24 hours, no resolution to the fever, please bring the child to the hospital. Don't assume teething. Don't blame teething. Just come to the hospital first. It's better to come to the hospital and we'll tell you there's nothing wrong, and then we take it off from there, rather for you to come to the hospital and we're blaming you for coming so late. and we don't want that. All right. Good evening. My baby was admitted last month, had to be transfused. Okay, it became 41%. After a month today, the PCV has gone to 29. What could be the cause? So, what was the cause of the 17% before? Why was your child's PCV dropped to 17%? What did your doctor tell you? Your baby is 6 months old. So, that is the job of the doctor to have told you why that PCV dropped to 17 in the first instance. And that will also what determines whether it's something going on that will continue and all that. So it is not my job to tell you that, because there are many things. So when we do your blood test, it is not just that the PCV is low. One of the things the doctors are also doing is to know why it is low. A 6 month old baby should not be having a PCV of 17%. So why? Was it infection? Is the child having sickle cell anemia? Does this child have severe malaria? Does this child have what it is that the child has? So there's something that dropped that PCV first. So the doctor should have told you that. If they didn't tell you that, you need to go back to them. So that is number one. The 41% to 29%. I'm not sure whether the 41% was actually correct, or maybe because if it depends on when they check the blood. Ideally, they should have checked it after 48 hours of transfusing the blood. If you do it immediately, the blood you are testing is a blood you just transfused, not the baby's own blood. So you have to wait for it to move around the baby and rhyme before it. So maybe your 29% is still just not, maybe it's still within normal, but you really need to go back to your pediatrician. You really, really need to go back to the pediatrician. That is number one. When you go back to your pediatrician, these are the questions you need to ask them. Why was my baby's PCV very low? That is the first question. What kind of anemia? So there are different kind of anemia. We have what we call iron deficiency anemia. We have anemia that are due to condition like what we call hemoglobinopathies, like sickle cell anemia and all those kind of things. We have anemia that are due to vitamin B12 deficiency, folic acid deficiency. We have anemia that's not even due to those ones. They are due to the fact that maybe child had an infection and all, like DIC or something like that. So you need to ask those specific questions. Why was the baby PCV low, and what kind of anemia did the baby have? Because that will help you to know what is going to happen in the future. If your child has anemia due to malaria or infection, once we treat the malaria, once we treat the infection, we don't expect the PCV to go down low again. But if your child has nutritional anemia like iron deficiency anemia, we have to replace that iron. So it is not enough to transfuse the baby's blood. We have to be giving the baby iron to replace the iron that was deficient, or we have to give folic acid if it was folic acid deficiency. We have to give vitamin B12 if it was vitamin B12 deficiency. We need to know what is causing the anemia, not only transfuse but correct the underlying cause of the anemia itself, and then that is your doctor's job to prescribe. Because, for example, if your child's anemia is due to sickle cell anemia, we should not prescribe iron to the baby. The problem is not iron deficiency. So giving iron to that baby is actually going to cause more problems. Whereas if it's due to iron deficiency anemia, we should give iron to the baby. So that is why I cannot prescribe anything, because I don't really know which of the anemia your doctors are dealing with. So you should go back to them. It's very unusual for a 6-month-old baby to have PCV of 17%. Very unusual. Something was really wrong. So, but I believe your doctors know all those information. They'll be able to advise you. And then, of course, complementary feeding you need to start as well. And it's not just PAP. PAP alone is not complementary feeding. You have to go through our guide section, go through all the videos on complementary feeding, so that you know all that you should be giving the baby, and then so get it right. Because if not, child is going to go into nutritional deficiency anemia again, because iron is not in PAP, and you have to give food that has iron so that your baby will get iron and will not have iron deficiency anemia. But I'm sure your pediatricians will take you through all that. So somebody said my baby is hiccuping. There's nothing wrong with hiccups. Hiccups are normal. They resolve by themselves. And the weight, baby is out 7 months. Usually babies double their birth weight by 5 to 6 months, but your baby has already doubled at 4 months. It's not so bad. It's a little bit, over the top, but not worrisome to the pediatrician. So don't worry about that. Somebody said my 3-month-old has white dots on the skin. We have to see the white dots and then we can advise. Good evening. My 6-week-old baby has been treated of jaundice. All the tests were okay, but the eyes is not yet totally white. So if the tests were okay, why is the eyes not yet white? So It depends on what you mean by the tests are okay. So the test may be what we call levels that we don't have to do anything about, but it may still be high enough to make the baby's eyes yellow. So your baby's eyes are yellow, it means there's still some jaundice, but it may not be high enough for your doctor to treat the child. So there are two different things. So, but you don't need to worry about it. But usually by 6 weeks, really, we expect all the jaundice to have cleared. Usually by 2 weeks, all the jaundice to have cleared. But again, some parents look at baby's eyes because it's not like 100% white. You think it's something wrong. Everybody's eyes is not 100% white. So it has to be, if it is not yellow, like yellow, proper yellow, I will not worry. So if it's some people's eyes are just like bluish, some people have this tinge of brownish. It's not, doesn't have to be like white, like snow white kind of white. So if that is what is worrying you, then there's no reason to worry. But if there's still some yellowness in the eyes at 6 weeks, you have to go back to your pediatrician, because we have what we call prolonged jaundice. Any jaundice that lasts more than 2 weeks is prolonged. There are some causes of those kind of jaundice, and we need to investigate that. So we need to check for thyroid function, we need to check liver, we need to make sure there's no problem. So since your baby is 6 weeks now, I'm sure you're going for your 6 weeks immunization. So that is an opportunity for you to ask the pediatrician to check the eyes for you first. If the pediatrician said there's no yellowness, then that's it. No need to worry. But if the pediatrician is worried, she knows what to do and how to investigate your baby further. Okay, your baby had malaria infection, she was transfused. Okay, so if your baby has malaria infection, that was caused the anemia, and I believe the baby was treated already, then there's no need to worry with, but we still need to keep an eye on it. So maybe it's just that 41 was just not the accurate figure, so but 29 is it. But more importantly, you need to now make sure you're feeding that baby so that we don't go, because like I said, pap alone is not going to give your baby iron, and your baby needs to eat things that will supply folic acid, vitamin B12. Your baby has to take animal things, so like milk, like crayfish and all that. There, like vegetables, there are so many things that will supply, and you need to make sure you're adding those into the food. If you're only giving pap, we may still end up having to do another transfusion in a few months, which we don't want to do. So just make sure you see I think for now it's the food that is more important, and also prevent the child from having mosquito bites, so that the child doesn't have malaria again and all that. All right. Okay, I think that's the last question. My baby has 2 years old had cough. That is not enough information to give any answer. So you have to tell us how long the child has been coughing for, and what time of the day, is any fever, is any fast breathing, or you may want to see your doctors so that they can tell you. Cough alone, you have not given us any specific information to give you an answer. So final question from Instagram. Let me be sure. Okay, yes. Final question from Instagram. My doctor, I would like to ask what to do with my 2-year-old who hasn't pooed in 3 days and has been having constipation. Yeah, if your baby is having constipation, you need to get the constipation treated. So there are stool softeners that your doctors can prescribe for you. Even some pharmacy can prescribe them. So if you go to your doctor, they will prescribe stool softeners, something like lactulose, something like Movicol. There are medication that will give you to soften the stool so that the hard poo will come out first. That is number one. But more importantly is, how do we prevent the constipation from happening again? So your child needs to drink a lot of water every day, at least 6 to 8 cups of water. You have to remind them. Sometimes children don't remember to drink water. It will surprise you that they don't know that they should drink water. So you may have to set up your timetable on your phone or something that reminds you to go and drink water. And then you may have to make sure they eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, things that have fiber in them. So again, you have to make sure they are eating all that. And then you teach them good bowel habits. So, they feel the urge, let them use the toilets. Don't wait until, sometimes children are playing, and because they are playing so much, they don't want to they don't want to go to toilet because they're enjoying their games or play or whatever. So you need to, maybe first thing in the morning they should sit on the potty, move their bowel, it helps them. Or they may, so you may also have to do that, maybe last thing at night as well. So it's about prevention, going forward rather than just treating the constipation. And some children truly have constipation due to medical issues. So that is why you need to see if you are doing the right thing. Child is drinking a lot of water, child is eating fruits, is eating vegetables, is eating food that are rich in fiber, is you are trying to put them on the potty every day, first in the morning or night, and you are doing all the necessary stuff, let's put it that way, and the child is still not um you still having recurrent constipation, then we need to check whether there are other medical issues that we need to sort. So that's when you go. But do the right most time when you do the right thing first, half of all the problem of constipation will be gone. All right, last question. Because when I want to close, somebody else will post the question. 7 months old baby who is sleeping, snoring, has had adenoid, book to see a specialist. There's no need to worry. You have done everything right. See the specialist. The specialist is not going to bite you. The specialist is just to monitor the baby and make sure that there's nothing to worry about. Usually, there are some conditions that when we see, it will refer you to see a specialist. Not necessarily because there's for you to worry. It's just so that we make sure that the right person, because when it's in adenoids, it's the ENT doctors that have to see, because if there's going to be any operation, it's the ENT doctors that will do it. But we are not saying there's going to be operation, but we just want them to be aware, because they are the ones that take those kind of decisions. So don't ever be scared of being referred to a specialist. It's better to be with the specialist, because the specialists are the experts when it comes to a particular field. So when it comes to things like adenoids, the ENT doctors are the specialists. So there's nothing wrong with that. I know as a parent, it can be it's a source of fear, like maybe the condition is serious. No, it doesn't mean it's serious. It just means that's the best doctor to be monitoring. That doctor's experts area. So is it not better for your baby to be with the experts than to be with the other doctors? So there's no reason for you to worry at all. Just let the go see them. I'm sure they will reassure you to, from what you said, us is mild, but they will monitor your baby, because they have to monitor. And if they worry, then they will now tell you what to do. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. I think I shot over time today because the question were not, they just keep coming. They were slow at the beginning, but we were rushing towards the end. So thank you so much. If you still have any question, feel free to go to our Hacks the Pediatricians Facebook group. You can drop your questions there from Mondays to Saturdays. We always answer questions every day, 24 hours daily, Mondays to Saturday. Of course, we always take a break on Sunday so that our admin, our moderators can also rest as well. So we have about 4 Facebook groups. We have a group for the first-time mothers. We have Ask the Pediatrician, which is our major group. We also have the Ask the ATP family, Ask the Physician ATP family, where you can ask adult health questions. And we also have the what's the other one? ATP Still a Mom. Yes. So that's our 4th group for those who have suffer some losses of either a pregnancy or a child. We're just there to provide some emotional support. So thank you so much for joining me. On Thursday, I do ATP Hour on Fresh Waves Radio, that is where I actually teach on a particular topic. So last week I started teaching about special needs children. You can actually watch old episodes on our Facebook page or Fresh Waves Radio Facebook page or YouTube channel, or my podcast. That is Ask Dr. Gbemi ACP. You can also watch it. And this week, there's going to be a conclusion of the special needs children. If you have a special needs child or somebody who is a family member who has special needs, you want to listen to the concluding parts and how to support our children with special needs. So thank you so much, everyone. I'll see you again next week, same time, by God's grace. Bye.